You look good. You sound
Cool.
great. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I know it's such an incredibly busy period as well for you. So mentally, you're feeling good. You're feeling quite happy at the moment.
Absolutely. Yes. We're currently preparing for the upcoming tour, and we're actually at the rehearsal space. I hope the acoustics are a little are not too crazy. But yeah, no, it's going really well. We put together a really great set list, and cannot wait to embark on this tour. And obviously, album getting released on Friday as well. So it's a lot of things happening right now. Exciting times.
It is very exciting times. Of course, as you said, this time tomorrow, you're gearing up, you'll be gearing up to hit the stage. Tilburg up first, and then on February 1st,
Yep.
you're actually in my neck of the woods. You're in London, which is my home
Yep.
city, at the Garage.
Cool.
Tell me, getting tour ready mentally for you, particularly with the Night Flight Orchestra, what does it take? What do you like to do to get yourself tour ready?
Good question. I don't know. I mean, we like to rehearse quite a bit. It's nice to feel that we things are locked in. And but then again, you should not rehearse too much. There is such a thing, I believe. So it's about finding that sweet spot and feel prepared, and also vocally, I'd like to start like 2 weeks before and start singing every day. To get the vocal cords used to the sort of tough schedule that we're gonna have,
Mm.
and though I don't start like full throttle, but like gradually, push it. And so I think I'm in a pretty good place, and as long as I don't get sick, everything is fine. So I've been taking my vitamins as well. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's about it. Preparing. Also the production and the stage outfits and everything, just to bring the best possible show. We can. So yeah, I guess that's it.
It is an extensive European tour. Is there anywhere particular that you're looking forward to visiting? Either a return visit or a first time ever?
I believe it's our first time in Portugal with the Night Flight
Mm.
Orchestra, so that's going to be really cool. I'm playing in Lisbon, and it's looking like it's selling out as well. So, yeah, I've plenty of friends there as well. So looking forward to go there. And I believe we've been to most other cities and countries on the tour. But I mean, all in all, I think it's a great tour. Not too long, not too short, perfect, and yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
It is going to be cool. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed the entire every country brings the energy to those shows. Because of course,
yeah.
as well, it coincides with, as you said, the release of your brand new album, The Mighty Give Us the Moon. January
Mm.
31st, Napalm Records. You're playing in Lyon that night, the day it
Yes,
releases.
yes,
Got any
yes.
plans to celebrate it?
Well, the thing is, we would like to, but like right after the show, we need to leave. Go figure. And because we're heading to London, so that's quite far from Lyon. So there aren't really any plans, except we'll pop a bunch of extra bottles of champagne or something. I don't know. That might be happening, and it's gonna be nice to celebrate with the crowd, because in Lyon was actually where our last like real full tour ended during COVID. It was the very last show before we had to go home and cut the tour short. So it's nice to come back there and start the tour where it ended. So it's a special feeling. Plus the album getting released, so that's just
It's
perfect.
it is. It's going to be. It sounds fantastic. It feels like it's going to be a really good vibes in that room that night.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
I mean, obviously every release is important, but this one feels particularly important. What does releasing this album mean to you?
It's been quite a journey with this album. We needed to take our time, and with the passing of our guitarist David Andersson, and we had to grieve, and then sort of regroup and try to find the joy in the music again, and try to turn it into something creative, and then somewhat empowering. So luckily we found the joy again. We went to the same studio, and had these recording sessions, and it felt like David was very present in everything we were doing. We had so many, it was quite of a dark ending with in David's life and his mental state, but now it was almost like we only remember the good times, and it became very much of a celebration. And but writing this album has not been easy. I mean, he had a very unique expression in his songwriting and also as a lyricist. So we had to sort of take his heritage and his world with us, and sort of include that in what we're doing. And so I think that was a big challenge because we never really wanted to, copy David's style. You can't really do that. So it's just a matter of sort of tap into his world and sort of take that with you because, we were all very close to him, especially me who started with a band with him. So it was very present when I was composing stuff for this album. And I believe we have all those ingredients in there, with this album, and we just had to dig even deeper, and we could take our time. So I think that was a good recipe for this album. And coming out on the other side is it feels really special. And now that we've gotten such amazing response from most people, it's a very good feeling. And also that we have done everything we possibly could to make the best album. It's a great feeling. We've done everything. So
Yeah.
that's all you can do. So yeah. So
Yeah,
it feels
you're out
great.
of time now. It's got to, it doesn't, there's nothing more you can do. It's going out in the world. It's going to walk on its own two
Yeah.
legs, and then it'll be judged
Yes.
in its own.
Yeah.
But as you said, based off the single reactions alone, just the reaction of listeners on those songs,
Yeah.
people have loved it, and obviously that's given you a lot of heart and encouragement. I take it.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, you never really know, and plus the album is very diverse, so it's kind of hard to find singles that represent the whole album. And I guess they don't really have to, in the end, just pick up the album, listen through the whole thing. And I think it deserves to be listened all the way through because it's all making sense. It's a very long album. It's 13 songs. But they're all it's very diverse, but they're all sort of tied together in the end, and but the singles that we released, it's been a really good response overall, and yeah, people are super excited. It seems like both. I mean, people I tried it on, friends and family, obviously, and then of course, hearing the press as well raving about it, it's fantastic. So yeah,
It's all great news, and that's what we love to hear, particularly as the long and winding road to release. It's long, putting it simply, with
yeah,
many,
yeah.
many stops, and it involves a lot of work. And
Huh.
some of it can be really stressful. When you kind
Yeah.
of look back at the whole release period, the road to this point, what are some of your favorite memories of the album journey?
Well, just entering that studio again, a Nordic Sound Lab, and at first feeling the emptiness in there and being worried that this might not fly again, but just feeling slowly that we're picking up the pieces and finding the joy in that same room where we always used to be, and having such a great time and being able to just hang out around the music, to cook, drink, and record music again. It was such a great kick, and it was not about forgetting about David. He was very present, even though he was not there physically, but we could
Hmm.
also sort of stand on our own feet. We felt also confident, and some really really good things were happening there, like already at the first recording session, and when it felt like we're going to be able to do this. We're going to make it. And that was a great feeling, especially when you've been grieving for quite long. So that was a special moment.
Yeah, I completely
Mm.
understand that. Did you find it was it was gradual? You got more and more comfortable gradually, or was it more of a one day you woke up and just thought things feel okay a little bit today?
No, I think it was gradually. I think for me, very much because in the end of David's life, our relationship was not the best because he was in a really dark place, and we're really close, but you feel very powerless, and we butted heads quite a bit, which is also understandable when there's addiction involved, and we had to do some touring without him and some shows, and because he was simply not fit to do anything. But it was a tough decision, but somewhere we needed to move on a bit. And then at the end, so it was pretty dark overall. And when he passed away, I just felt emptiness, but I was also still very angry and disappointed, all these things, So it took some time for me to actually just being able to just miss him and remember the good times and the way he used to be so it was, yeah, it was quite a journey. It's not easy because you feel very bad about being angry at somebody who's no longer around. But I think that's also natural. Somehow I guess that's a human thing. But
Yeah.
after a while, I just remember the good times, and I just miss him. Miss talking to him every day. I miss his smile. I miss his humor, his laughter, so many things. It's but I feel he's still very, very present. So in some way, so
It's a cliche line, but time is ultimately a great healer. It
yeah,
is
yeah,
true. And of course, this album does honor him completely, as you said.
yeah, yeah. We wanted to make him proud, and we hope he can somewhat hear it somewhere, but yeah, make ourselves proud, make David proud, and then show all the doubters that we can still pull this off. So that's quite a task.
That
So,
is
so
that. There it is.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking about proving the doubt was wrong and just showing that you still got it, you can still go and still deliver something so impressive, challenging yourself and
mm.
areas of this album creation where you felt that you challenged yourself or pushed yourself a little bit harder than maybe you ever expected.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think I've ever worked harder on any album, really. And I mean, thankfully, we were able to spread it out a little bit. So, but in the end, it got pretty intense, and laying down the vocals, and then you're so deep into it that at the end, you almost get like deaf because you've heard the songs too much, or you get picky with yourself. It's like, oh, I don't know, I don't like that part. It's like maybe I should change it. And it's like, and sometimes you just need to let things go. But I think,
Mm.
I'm really pleased with how the things turn out. I think all the emotions that we wanted to put through this album, it's they're they're very present and it's a very organic album in so many ways and dynamic and it's as it's a very multi-layered album, but
Mm.
you can also hear the joy and the sort of celebration coming through when you listen to this album. That it's sort of a band that found their way back again, and made the best out of it.
You're absolutely right. You can feel the feelings in it, but you can still have fun listening to it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a fun album.
Oh, it is. And one of the
Mm,
most delightful aspects of the record is variety. You clearly worked hard to not repeat what you've done on previous albums, but also
mm.
not just to kind of do a repetitive formula across this album. As you said, 13 tracks. Stagnation is a possibility 7 albums in. Were
Yeah.
you at the start sort of thinking, like, did that come into your head that there is the possibility we could stagnate here? And did you find yourself forcing it not to happen?
Yeah, I guess in a way, I mean, yeah, stagnation it can obviously occur after this many albums
Hmm.
into your career, but I just felt like if we've been able to do it for each and every album, we should be able to do it with this one as well. I guess we just should be sort of have a playful approach and just feel like we're the Night Flight Orchestra. We can do whatever we want. I know that sounds very cocky and sort of over the top, but I think that had to be the guiding star because we are, after all, a band that can almost move between genres on the same album, but still tie it together.
Hmm.
So we sort of had to remind ourselves that, we're sort of like an anything goes band and that we should not feel limited and to be able to experiment and explore new territories, and with this album. And I think that's why we're able to sort of, find new expressions for each and every album, even though you can definitely recognize some of the elements, that we've hopefully made some kind of a trademark by now, and but I think that became sort of the guiding star that we should just have like a playful approach and explore.
How experimental were those early days, though? I mean, did you have such extreme ideas that there were times where you had to sit there and say, no, no, there is a core sound, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an open field, but it's gone too far off in a
Yeah.
weird direction.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few times maybe, but for the most part, I mean, even if it's something that sounds very odd in the beginning and maybe it doesn't sound like us, we somehow are most of the times able to make it into something that sounds like us. If it's an element that sort of sticks out, it's like, wow, haven't really had this before. Does it fit what we're doing? I don't know, but let's try to hijack it and make it into our own thing, and usually it works out. And I mean, like I mentioned before, it's like, oh, anything goes bad. It's like, I mean, doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to turn out great in the end, but it could actually be disastrous, in some cases, and I don't know. It's just works out, and it's a very creative unit, and we record a lot of stuff, we compose a lot of stuff, and not everything should ends up on the album. And but we put these some of these songs and ideas in a vault, and then sometimes we pick it up again, and it's like, oh, what about that song? It's like, okay, I don't know if it fits what we're doing right now. Well, let's just try to rearrange the whole thing, and oh wow, now it does. Now it sounds more like what we're doing right now. And yeah, it's always an interesting experiment, but I think we have fairly sort of good understanding of what of our vision,
Hmm.
and what we should do and not do, and I'd like to think that we have fairly good taste and sort of insights in what we're doing.
And you feel like you're able to also bounce off each other really, really well. Like it's a very
Yeah.
strong collaborative effort.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we write mostly separately and at home, but then we bring the demos to the studio, and a lot of things happen there. It's like the songs really come alive, and then there's the keyboards, and there's Charlie D'Angelo standing there with his big hands rearranging like a conductor almost, and so a lot of things can happen, and like to change the vibe in a song, you can like sometimes like the smallest detail can change completely the vibe in a song. It might be a keyboard, it might be a guitar lick, it might be a bass line, or vocals. So that's always where there's a lot of experimenting going on.
You sound like when you reflect on it that ultimately you reflect on it in such a positive way that ultimately it was such a good experience and the end result
Yes,
has made all the work worth it.
yes, I really feel that sincerely. Yeah, yeah. No, it's all been worth it, and yeah, it takes a lot to go through something like this and put it all together and picking up the pieces, and so yeah, I'm really proud of the whole band for pulling through and making this record.
And now it's time to get it on stage. Were you when you wrote the album, when you were putting the songs together, when you were creating the track listing and deciding what was going to sit on the album in the end, was live at the back of your mind? Because it does feel like a lot, at least a large portion of the tracks are almost live thinking, designed for that
Yeah.
stage show.
Yeah, I think that might have been, like I think I personally I was thinking like, is this gonna work live? And I sort of pictured, because we've toured quite a bit by now, and
Mm.
this seeing us live is also a whole new dimension, and I just love singing with the band, and I believe we've grown to become quite a good live band. And that, of course, that inspires you as well. You can sort of picture it like the song being played live. So I think that's been also a little bit of a guiding star in all of this when composing. I think you're right, and I mean we've been rehearsing some of these new songs now, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen live and how they will sound. But I have a really good feeling about them, and it was almost like they were made to be played live as well.
Mm.
Mhm.
Do you have one particularly that you really, really can't wait to play live?
Well, there's the new single, like the last single before the album's getting released, and that's Paloma. It's a track that sticks out quite a bit on the album. It's like this. it's sort of like a ballad, but not really. It's also very sort of, what do you say, dance worthy. Like there's like some beat to it, and
Yeah.
but it's super powerful on the album, and to sort of sort of create that live is going to be a challenge. But I have a really good feeling that song is going to work out really good live. It's a very special song.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it live. Can't wait to hear the new stuff live. I
And
love when a first timer comes along and say it's often at festivals maybe, and they stand there initially with that quizzical look on their face, don't have a clue what the hell you're doing and
yeah,
what's going on there. And
exactly,
then bit by
exactly.
bit by bit, there, next thing you know, they're dancing and jumping
Yeah,
around and having a great time.
exactly. Yep, that's Bloodstock for you right there. You know, we had those two shows, one in the big tent, and then now last year at the main stage. And yeah, you can see people like, what the hell is this? And then at the end, they're all dancing. It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing, but that is the Night Flight Orchestra for you. Right, we're almost out of time, so I've just got one more for you. And really, it's a success-related question because success is measured in so many different ways these
Hmm.
days. For
Yeah.
you, what would success for this album look like?
I mean, then we get to play maybe some bigger stages, and so that we can develop our live show, our concept. We have a full concept, you know, that there are really no limits to what we could do. And sometimes it's hard to cram 8 people on a smaller stage and make it look good, you know. So my wishes are that we get to, you know, take a step up and play some bigger stages, that we can provide like the show that we really have in our minds, you know, and to be able to develop that, because it's going to be a fantastic experience, I think, you know. So that's what I'm wishing for. And of course, everyone, you know, buying this album, and that they can feel what we've been feeling while composing this album, that it's you know, transfers sort of to them, and that they can sort of recognize the emotion running through it. So yeah.
Fabulous. January
Mm.
31st. It is
Yes.
out. Give us the moon. And of course, the extensive European tour. And if you're in the UK, you've got like 2 days to wait, and then you're over here. Can't wait for it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking the time to do this. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. Thank you so
No
much.
worries. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.